That rainy night, I came home from work early. The moment the key slid into the lock, I heard the sound from the bedroom. A woman's repressed moan, a man's heavy breathing. My hand froze midair. Chloe had texted me, saying she was working late, not to wait up for dinner. But right now, there were clearly two people in our bedroom. I pushed the door open soundlessly. The living room was a disaster. A pair of women's high heels were kicked off by the entryway. A man's leather dress shoes lay on their sides next to the couch. On the coffee table sat two wine glasses, stained with the dark red dregs of their contents. The bedroom door was slightly ajar, the sound from within growing clearer. "Chloe, you're so much better than he is." That voice. I knew it all too well. Mark Peterson, my brother since childhood, my colleague at work, the friend I trusted most in the world. Let's not talk about him. Let's just enjoy this. Chloe's voice was so sultry, it was alien to me. I had never heard her speak to me in that tone. In 3 years of marriage, she had always been businesslike, cool and distant, as if she were fulfilling some kind of obligation. But now, in another man's arms, her voice was as sweet as honey. I pushed the bedroom door open. The two people on the bed froze instantly. Chloe let out a sharp scream, frantically pulling the comforter over her body. Mark sat up, his face a canvas of embarrassment and guilt. "Ethan, let me explain." "Explain what?" My voice was shockingly calm, surprising even myself. By all rights, I should have been roaring, losing my mind, grabbing a knife. But I just stood there, watching them with cold detachment. "Ethan, we didn't do anything." Chloe interrupted Mark, her voice as sharp as nails on a chalkboard. I laughed so hard tears almost came. "Didn't do anything? So you're just discussing work, naked in my bed?" Chloe's face flushed a deep crimson. Mark scrambled off the bed, fumbling to put on his clothes. "Ethan, man, about this." "Man." I repeated the word, each syllable dripping with ice. "Mark, we've known each other for 20 years. You think I'm still going to call you my friend?" He froze, the shirt in his hands dropping to the floor. I turned to look at Chloe, the woman I had loved for 5 years, been married to for 3. She cowered under the covers, her eyes darting away, unable to meet mine. "Chloe, I have a question. Is this the first time?" "What first time? I told you, we didn't do anything." She was still trying to lie. I walked over to her vanity and opened the top drawer. Inside was a box of condoms, more than half used. I picked it up and waved it at her. "Is this work equipment, too?" Chloe's face went completely white. Mark, now fully dressed, was inching toward the door. "Stop," I ordered. "Mark, you think you can just walk out of here?" "Ethan, we're nothing," I said, looking at the man I'd grown up with. We'd gone to the same schools, gotten into the same fights, been sent to the principal's office together. We were roommates in college. I got him his job at my company. I treated him like a brother, and he was sleeping with my wife in my home. "You two carry on. I'm leaving." I turned to go. "Ethan." Chloe leaped from the bed, naked, and ran to grab my arm. I shook her off. "Don't touch me. You're filthy." The words hit her like a slap. She stood there, stunned, her eyes instantly welling up. "Ethan Miller, why do you have to talk to me like that?" she shrieked. "What do you do besides work? All you ever do is grind away to make money. When have you ever cared about me? When have you ever spent time with me? At least Mark knows how to make me happy. He buys me gifts. He takes me to the movies. What about you? What can you give me besides money?" I stopped and turned back to look at her. This naked woman, standing before me, hurling accusations. This woman I wired money to every month, who I bought designer bags for, whose lavish lifestyle I funded. This woman I thought was my wife. "You know what, Chloe? You're right," I said. "I really can't give you anything but money. But from today on, I won't be giving you that either." I walked out of the apartment without looking back. The rain was still coming down, cold and sharp against my face. I stood at the entrance to our condo complex with nowhere to go. This place I'd lived in for 3 years suddenly felt alien. The place I thought was my home was, it turned out, only a home for one. My phone buzzed. It was Mark. I declined the call. It buzzed again. Him again. I powered the phone off. Rainwater dripped from my hair and my eyes, salty, like tears. But I wasn't crying. I just felt tired. So incredibly tired. The kind of tired that makes you want to lie down on the pavement and never get up again. But I couldn't. I had things to do. I was going to make them understand the price of betraying me. I checked into a nearby hotel for the night. I didn't sleep a wink, the images from that night replaying in my mind on a loop. When morning came, I didn't go straight to the office. Instead, I went to a private investigator's agency. "Mr. Miller, I understand your situation," the investigator, a middle-aged man named Davis, said. He looked professional. "We have extensive experience with infidelity cases. But I have to warn you, sometimes the truth can be harsher than you imagine. I want the whole truth. I pushed my credit card across the desk. No matter how harsh, I need to know. Mr. Davis nodded, taking the card. Give me a week. After leaving the P.I.S. office, I went to work. Mark was already at his desk. When he saw me walk in, he immediately stood up. Ethan, about last night. It's work hours. Call me Mr. Miller. I sat down at my desk and fired up my computer. Mr. Miller, can we talk? He asked, walking over, his voice low. Talk about what? The project timeline. I didn't look up from my screen. Ethan, don't be like this. We're friends. I said it's work hours. Call me Mr. Miller. I repeated. And please step back. I don't want to catch whatever you've got. The other colleagues in our open plan office started to notice the tension between us. Mark's face turned beet red as he slunk back to his desk. At lunch, he followed me to the cafeteria. Ethan, I know you're angry, but what? But you couldn't help yourself? I stopped and faced him. Mark, I'm going to ask you once. How long? He looked down, unable to meet my eyes. A little over a year. A little over a year. So, they started when we had been married for less than 2 years. And I, like an idiot, still thought of him as my best friend. I'd even invite him over for dinner, asking Chloe to make his favorite dishes. It turned out those dinners were just opportunities for them. Ethan, listen to me. What else is there to say? That you're soulmates. I sneered. That you fell in love, and I should just step aside and let you have her. No, that's not it. Chloe and I. Your relationship is none of my business anymore, I said, looking him dead in the eye. But you betrayed me. I won't forget that. Ethan, and don't call me Ethan. We're not friends. That evening, I didn't go home. Chloe called a dozen times. I ignored every call. Finally, she sent a text. Ethan, can we please talk? This isn't as serious as you think. Not as serious as I think. My wife is sleeping with my best friend, and that's not serious? What the hell would be? I texted back 8 words. Nothing to talk about. Get a lawyer. She immediately called back. I declined. She called again. I declined again. Finally, I just blocked her number. The next morning, Chloe was waiting for me in the lobby of my office building. She had on perfect makeup and was wearing the Burberry coat I'd bought her. She looked pitiful and fragile. Ethan, why won't you answer my calls? We're married. Can we talk things out? Passing colleagues were staring. I didn't want to make a scene at work. Come with me. I led her to a nearby coffee shop. Okay, what do you want to talk about? Ethan, what happened yesterday was an accident. Chloe reached for my hand. Mark had too much to drink, and so did I. We weren't thinking straight. It was a moment of weakness. Don't take it seriously. I pulled my hand away. A moment of weakness? For over a year, she froze. You? How did you know? Do you think I'm an idiot? I stared at her. Chloe, we've been married for 3 years, and you've been cheating for more than one of them. That means our real marriage lasted less than 2 years. And in that time, you never loved me anyway. She opened her mouth to argue, but nothing came out. Because I was right. Our marriage was a mistake from the start. She pursued me in college, and I thought she liked me. After graduation, she wanted to get married, and I thought she loved me. But now I understood. All she wanted was a man who could provide a stable life. A man with a steady job, a good income, someone predictable and easy to control. And Mark gave her excitement and romance. The things I couldn't provide. Ethan, I admit I was wrong, she said, her voice softening. But we can start over. I'll change. I'll cut off all contact with Mark. We can go back to how things were, just pretend this never happened. I laughed. Pretend this never happened? What did she take me for? A garbage can? Something to be thrown out and picked up again at her convenience. Chloe, do you really think that's possible? I asked. Every night I lie in our bed. I'll be thinking about what you and he did on those sheets. Every time I look at you, I'll see that scene from the other night. Do you think I could ever live a normal life with you again? Her face grew paler and paler. Then what do you want? A divorce, I said, as casually as if I were discussing what to have for dinner. We sell the condo, split the money. We divide everything else. And after that, we have nothing to do with each other. Chloe shot to her feet. Ethan Miller, don't you dare. Yes, you bought the condo, but I put in 3 years of my life. I did the laundry, the cooking, the cleaning. Doesn't that count for anything? And you think you can find someone better without me? Look at yourself. What do you have besides your job? You're boring, you're bland, you're heartless. What woman would ever want you? Her words were like knives stabbing into my heart. But I didn't argue, because she was right. I was boring, bland, and heartless. That's why she cheated. That's why my best friend betrayed me. That's why my life was a joke. You're right, I said, standing up. And because I'm like that, you should be happy. Leaving me is a liberation for you. You could go find all those exciting men like Mark. He'll be out of a job soon. Then you two can be together in the open. With that, I turned and walked away. Ethan, she called after me. I didn't turn back. I knew what she would say. More threats, more begging, more insults. But none of it mattered anymore. My heart was dead. My feelings for her, for this marriage, for so-called love. All of it was dead. 3 days later, Mr. Davis called me. Mr. Miller, the investigation is complete. But this situation is a bit more complex than we thought. I suggest you come in. I dropped what I was doing at work and drove straight to his office. Mr. Davis handed me a thick manila envelope. Mr. Miller, are you prepared for this? I nodded and opened it. Inside was a thick stack of photos and documents. The very first picture made me freeze. It was Chloe and Mark outside a hotel, the timestamp showing it was taken a year and a half ago. Their affair had started even earlier than Mark had admitted. I kept flipping. Photos from every angle, in all sorts of places at all different times. Hotels, restaurants, movie theaters, parks. They were dating like a normal couple, having dinner, seeing movies. While I was at home, waiting for her to get off her late shift, making her snacks. Mr. Miller, according to our investigation, your wife and Mr. Peterson's relationship has indeed been going on for about 18 months, Mr. Davis said, pointing at a photo. And based on the frequency, they met at least 3 times a week. Sometimes during lunch on workdays, sometimes at night. Your wife often used working overtime as an excuse to see him. 3 times a week. That meant she spent more time with him than she did with me. I kept flipping through the photos. Suddenly, one made my blood boil. It was from a day after our wedding anniversary. I remembered working late that night. Chloe had said she was going out with her girlfriends. But in the photo, she and Mark were at our favorite restaurant, kissing. She was wearing the necklace I gave her, the dress I bought for her, using my money to date another man. That's not even the worst of it, Mr. Davis said, turning to another page. Look at this. It was a printout of hotel booking confirmations. They started a year and a half ago, with entries for almost every month. The rooms were all paid for with Chloe's credit card. The credit card that was a supplementary card on my account. She was using my money to get a room with another man. My hand started to shake, not with rage, but with a chilling calm that comes when you've been pushed past your limit. Is there anything worse? My voice sounded unervingly steady. Mr. Davis hesitated. There's one more thing. This might be a significant blow. Tell me, based on our surveillance, your wife and Mr. Peterson have already started looking at real estate. I froze. What do you mean? They're house hunting. For a marital home, to be precise. Mr. Davis handed me another set of documents. These are records of their property viewings, along with text logs with the real estate agent. Your wife told the agent she would be getting a divorce soon and needed a new home. I read through the text messages. Chloe was saying her husband was a boring man who knew nothing but work, that she hadn't loved him for a long time and was just waiting for the right moment to leave. Now that she had found her true love, she was ready to start a new life. The agent even wished her happiness. And this, Mr. Davis handed me one more printout. It was a log of Chloe's iMessages with her best friend. I'm so done with Ethan. All he does is work and make money. Zero romance. Mark is different. He knows how to enjoy life, how to treat a woman. Honestly, seeing him is the only thing I look forward to. Being with Ethan is like being at a funeral. As soon as I get the condo and the savings sorted, I'm telling Ethan it's over. He's such a pushover. He'll definitely give me half of everything. Reading that, I finally understood everything. This wasn't just an affair. It was a conspiracy. She was planning to take our shared assets and start a new life with Mark. And I was just a tool in her plan. A money-making tool, a transitional tool. Once she had squeezed every last drop of value out of me, she was going to kick me to the curb. Mr. Miller, are you all right? Mr. Davis asked with concern. I shook my head. I'm fine. Better than fine. I gathered all the documents and put them back in the envelope. Mr. Davis, will this evidence hold up in court? Absolutely. We have a professional notarization process. Then please have it all processed. I stood up. I have another job for you. Go on. I want you to dig into Mark Peterson's background. His finances, personal debts, any problems at work. I want all of his dirty laundry. Mr. Davis nodded. Understood. It should take about a week. Leaving the P.I.S. office, I didn't go back to work. I went straight to a law firm. Mr. Miller, based on the evidence you've provided, you have an absolute advantage in this divorce case, my lawyer said after reviewing the file. However, I advise you not to confront her just yet. First, we need to protect your assets to prevent her from transferring them. Then we can formally file the suit. I nodded. Please handle it for me. I want her to walk away with nothing. The lawyer paused. Mr. Miller, under state law, even with infidelity, the division of assets isn't usually so lopsided. She used my money, our marital assets, to pay for hotel rooms with another man. Isn't that dissipation of assets? I cut him off. and she was actively planning to hide assets before the divorce. We have proof. The lawyer looked over the documents again. With this, yes, we can certainly argue for a much more favorable outcome for you. I'll draft a detailed strategy. It was afternoon by the time I got back to the office. Mark saw me and immediately walked over. Ethan, where were you? I was looking for you all morning. Personal matters. I sat down and got back to work. Ethan, about Chloe. I said, it's a personal matter. I didn't look up. By the way, that project report I assigned you, it's due for presentation next week. You're handling it. What? I thought you were presenting. Change of plans, I said, looking at him. Your performance has been slipping lately. Consider this a chance to step up. Mark's face soured. The project presentation was a thankless job. It required tons of prep work, and you were on the hook for any problems. If anything went wrong, it was his head on the chopping block. Ethan, are you doing this on purpose? He asked in a low voice. I stopped typing and looked at him. Mark, are you questioning my management decisions? No, I just think. You think what? That because we were friends, I should give you special treatment? I stood up, raising my voice slightly. Colleagues around us glanced over. Mark, let me repeat myself. In this office, I am your direct supervisor. Your job is to execute my instructions, not to negotiate. If you have a problem with that, you can file a complaint with HR. Mark's face was burning with humiliation. He wanted to say something, but in the end, he just nodded. I understand, Mr. Miller. Watching him retreat, deflated, I felt a grim satisfaction. This was just the beginning. I was going to make them understand. The price for betraying me wasn't just losing a friend. It was so much more. Over the weekend, I didn't go home. Chloe had sent me a barrage of texts, cycling through apologies, pleas, and threats. I didn't reply to a single one. I stayed in the hotel, organizing the information I'd gathered, the investigator's report, the lawyer's litigation plan, and some inside knowledge I already had. Chloe didn't know it, but I knew far more about her and Mark than they could ever imagine. For instance, Mark had a long-term girlfriend who worked in another state. They'd been together for 3 years, and her family was pushing for a wedding. Mark kept putting it off, claiming he was too busy with work. The real reason was Chloe. He was playing them both, enjoying Chloe's physical attention while maintaining his relationship with the other woman. A classic scumbag move. And Mark had recently lost a lot of money in the stock market. He'd secretly been taking out cash advances on his credit cards to trade, and now he was drowning in debt. His salary wasn't even enough to cover the minimum payments. He'd been hitting Chloe up for money, telling her it was for an investment project. Chloe had no idea the money she gave him was just plugging holes in his trading account. Furthermore, Mark's reputation at the office was terrible. He was known for shirking responsibility and blaming others when things went wrong. I'd bailed him out of trouble on several projects before. Our colleagues were polite to his face, but privately, none of them respected him. I'd observed all of this over the years. Back when I considered him my brother, I chose to overlook it. Now it was all ammunition. My phone rang. It was Chloe. I hesitated, then answered. Ethan, you finally answered. Her voice was thick with tears. Where have you been these past few days? I was so worried about you. Worried about me? I scoffed. Or worried that if I died, you wouldn't get your hands on my assets. Ethan, how can you say that? I really do care about you, she insisted. I've been thinking a lot, and I know I was wrong. I'm willing to change. Can we start over? Her acting was still top-notch. If I hadn't seen those text messages, I might have actually fallen for it. Chloe, do you really think we have a chance? Of course we do. We're married. There's nothing we can't get through, she said desperately. I've already told Mark it's over. We're never seeing each other again. I'll delete his number, change jobs, move, whatever you want. Just please forgive me. She was crying so hard, it sounded convincing. If I hadn't seen the evidence with my own eyes, I might have been moved. But now it just made me sick. All right, I said, deliberately softening my tone. I'll give you one chance. Really? Ethan, I knew you loved me most. But on one condition. Anything. Just name it. I'll do it. I want to see all of your texts with Mark from the past year. Everything. The line went silent. And your hotel receipts, your photos together, all of it, I continued. If you truly want to start over, there should be no secrets. Ethan, that's... What? You can't do it. It's not that I can't. I just don't think it's necessary. Then there's nothing more to say. I moved to hang up. Wait, she cried out. I can show you. But you have to promise you won't get angry when you see them. I won't get angry. My voice was as placid as a stagnant pond. I just want the truth. Okay, I'll come home tonight. We can talk it out. I hung up and let out a cold laugh. Chloe actually thought she could still manipulate my emotions. She had no idea that my feelings for her were already dead. Tonight, she would show me a carefully curated selection of their conversations, deleting the most vicious parts and keeping the ones that made her look conflicted and remorseful. A A classic gaslighter's playbook. Too bad I'd already read the director's cut. At 8 o'clock, I went back to the apartment. Chloe had cooked a full dinner. All my favorite dishes. The aroma filled the air. She was wearing loungewear and light makeup, looking gentle and domestic. The old me would have been moved by this display of affection. The new me just wanted to get this performance over with. "Ethan, you're back." She came to the door, trying to hug me. I sidestepped her. "Where are the messages?" Her smile faltered. "Let's eat first. The food's getting cold." "I'm not hungry." "The messages." I sat down on the couch. Chloe bit her lip and took out her phone. "Ethan, I have to warn you, some of these might be upsetting." "Give it to me." I held out my hand. She handed over the phone, her hand trembling. "Just, don't get too worked up." A lot of it was just said in anger. I took the phone and started scrolling. Just as I expected, it was all filtered. Every vicious comment was gone, replaced with things like, "I'm so conflicted, and I feel so guilty about what I'm doing to Ethan." It was designed to make her look like she was tormented by her affair, racked with guilt over betraying me. "Is this all?" I asked, handing the phone back. "Yes, that's everything." She watched my face nervously. "You see, Ethan, even though I made a mistake, you were always in my heart." "Chloe." I cut her off. "Do you think I'm easy to fool?" She stared at me. "What do you mean?" I pulled out my own phone and brought up the screenshots Mr. Davis had sent me. "Take a look at this." The moment she saw the screen, her face drained of all color. It was the unedited conversation with her friend, including the part where she said being with me was like being at a funeral. "Ethan, where did you get this?" "That's not important," I said, putting my phone away. "What's important is that you're still lying to me. I gave you a chance to be honest, and you chose to keep deceiving me." "Ethan, I can explain." "No need." I stood up. "Chloe, let's get a divorce. My lawyer will draft the papers tomorrow. I'm keeping the condo, the car, and the savings. You walk away with nothing." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "Ethan, are you insane? On what grounds do I get nothing?" "On the grounds that you cheated. On the grounds that you used our joint assets to pay for hotel rooms with your lover." I pulled out the printout of the hotel receipts. "This is all evidence. It's more than enough for you to lose in court." Chloe stared at the records, her body beginning to tremble. "Ethan, we were married. You can't do this to me." "Married?" I sneered. "Does a wife betray her husband? Does a wife deceive him?" "Chloe, you stopped seeing me as your husband a long time ago. Funny how you only remember we're married now." She suddenly threw herself at my feet, grabbing my legs. "Ethan, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please, give me one more chance. I'll change. I'll cut off all contact with Mark. I'll never see him again." Looking at her tear-stained face, I felt nothing. How many times had she cried those same tears for Mark? "Chloe, do you know what too late means?" I crouched down to look her in the eye. "It means you missed your chance. You missed your chance to confess. You missed your chance to apologize. And now, you don't even have a chance to beg." I stood up and brushed the dust from my pants. "Think it over. An uncontested divorce, or we see each other in court. I'll give you 3 days." With that, I turned and walked out. "Ethan Miller," she screamed hysterically behind me. "You heartless bastard. I gave you 3 years of my life. And this is how you treat me? You'll regret this. You will regret this." I walked out of the apartment without looking back. Regret? The only thing I regretted was not seeing her for who she truly was sooner. I felt surprisingly good when I walked into work on Monday. My colleagues noticed the change, asking if I had some good news. I just smiled and said nothing. Mark looked like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders, constantly sneaking glances at me. Chloe must have told him about the divorce. At 10 a.m., Mark appeared at my desk. "Ethan, can we talk outside? It's working hours. If you have something to say it here." I didn't look up. "This isn't the right place." He glanced at the people around us. "Then we have nothing to talk about." I kept typing. "Ethan." He was getting agitated, his voice rising. Everyone in the office turned to look. "What is it, Mark?" I finally looked up, my expression one of pure innocence. "Is there a problem?" He wanted to say more, but with so many eyes on him, he swallowed his words. "No, nothing." "Then get back to work," I said, turning back to my screen. "Oh, and that project report I assigned you? The presentation is tomorrow. How's it coming along?" Mark's face went white. He'd been so wrapped up in the drama with Chloe that he hadn't even thought about work. He hadn't written a single word of the report. I'm still working on it." "Well, you'd better hurry up." I glanced at my watch. "You've got 24 hours. Should be enough time." Mark gritted his teeth and walked back to his desk. I knew he hated me, but he was powerless. At the company, I was his boss, and his guilt kept him from making a scene. At lunch, he followed me again. "Ethan, please, let's just go somewhere and talk." His voice was pleading. I looked at him and nodded. "Fine. The conference room." Once inside, Mark closed the door. Ethan, Chloe told me everything. Told you what? About the divorce. He took a deep breath. I know you hate me, but please, don't make things hard for Chloe. She's innocent in all this. It was all my fault. I almost laughed out loud. Now he was playing the noble protector. Mark, you think you're some kind of knight in shining armor. No, I just don't want to see Chloe get hurt. Then why didn't you think about her getting hurt when you were sleeping with her? I stared at him. Or was it that you just didn't think I deserved any consideration? He was speechless. Let me tell you something, I said, standing up. My business with Chloe has nothing to do with you. The person you should be worried about right now is yourself. Myself. That's right. I looked at him, my eyes empty of any emotion. Mark, did you really think there would be no consequences for betraying me? His face changed. Ethan, what are you going to do? You'll find out soon enough. I clapped him on the shoulder. By the way, don't forget about that report tomorrow. If you screw it up, you can kiss your quarterly bonus goodbye. I walked out, leaving Mark alone in the conference room. At 3 p.m., my lawyer called. Mr. Miller, the asset protection measures are in place. All accounts in your wife's name have been frozen. We've also placed a lien on the property title, so she can't sell or transfer it. It was an aggressive move, but effective. She should have received the notifications by now, the lawyer added. I expect you'll be hearing from her shortly. Sure enough, less than 30 minutes later, Chloe called. Ethan Miller, what the hell do you think you're doing? She screeched. Why did you freeze my accounts? I can't withdraw any money. Because half of that money is mine, I said calmly. Until a divorce settlement is signed, you have no right to touch our marital assets. You're crazy. How am I supposed to live? That's not my problem. Ethan, you've gone too far. I've gone too far. I scoffed. Chloe, when you were using my money to get hotel rooms with another man, did you think you were going too far? When you were planning to take half my assets and marry someone else, did you think that was too far? The line went silent. I wasn't planning to marry anyone else. Weren't you? What about that condo in Lincoln Park you and Mark were looking at? She was speechless. Chloe, the 3-day deadline I gave you has 2 days left. Let me know what you decide. I hung up. My phone immediately rang again. It was Mark. Ethan, listen to me. I declined to call. He called back. I declined again. Finally, I just shut my phone off. The next morning, as expected, Mark was not prepared for the project presentation. Mark, where are the materials? I asked in the conference room. I'm sorry, Mr. Miller. Last night what? I wasn't feeling well. Not feeling well is an excuse for not doing your job. I looked around at the other team members. Does anyone else here think being sick is a valid reason for failing to complete a critical task? Everyone shook their heads. No one was going to stick their neck out for Mark. Mark, as a core member of this project team, you failed to prepare the presentation materials on time. This is jeopardizing the entire project timeline. I am officially giving you a formal warning. If anything like this happens again, it will result in disciplinary action. Mark's face was flushed with shame, but he couldn't argue. I was right. He had failed to do his job. After the meeting, Mark cornered me. Ethan, you did this on purpose, didn't you? Did what on purpose? You're trying to screw me over. Because of Chloe. I stopped walking and faced him. Mark, are you paranoid? How am I screwing you over? The presentation was assigned a week ago. That's a normal work assignment. You failed to complete it, and I gave you a warning. That's a normal management procedure. Where's the problem? He wanted to argue, but he had no grounds. Procedurally, I was completely in the right. And from now on, do not bring up personal matters at the office, I continued. This is a place of business, not a therapy session. If it happens again, I will have to consider reassigning you to a different position. I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, his fists clenched. But he couldn't do anything. He was guilty, he was wrong, and now he was completely at my mercy. That afternoon, Chloe called again. Ethan, let's meet. Her voice sounded exhausted. I've thought it over. I agree to the divorce. Good. My lawyer's office, tomorrow at 3. No, Ethan, what I mean is... What? I agree to a divorce, but the asset division. It's not a negotiation. I cut her off. Chloe, you have no bargaining power here. You either accept my terms, or we go to court. But, no but. I hung up. 10 minutes later, Mark stormed up to my desk. Ethan Miller, you can't do this to Chloe. The office went silent. Everyone was staring at us. I slowly looked up at him. Mark, I warned you about discussing personal matters at work. I don't care about personal or work. You're just getting revenge, he yelled, his voice echoing through the entire floor. You're using your position to get back at me, and now you're trying to leave Chloe with nothing. Do you feel good about yourself? People in the office started whispering. They didn't know the details, but they could guess the gist of it. I stood up, my voice calm. Mark Peterson, you are creating a disturbance in the workplace and disrupting your colleagues. As of this moment, you are suspended. What? Pack your things and leave the premises immediately. HR will contact you with further information. Mark was stunned. He never thought I would suspend him on the spot. Ethan, you can't do this. I can, because I'm your direct supervisor, I said, looking him in the eye. And your behavior just now constitutes gross misconduct. Security. I called toward the door. 2 security guards walked in. Please escort this gentleman out. Mark looked at me, his eyes burning with rage and disbelief. But in the end, surrounded by the silent judgment of his colleagues, he had no choice but to let the guards walk him out. As I watched him go, I felt no guilt. This was the price of betrayal. And this was just the beginning. News of Mark's suspension spread through the company like wildfire. Colleagues gossiped in private, but no one dared ask me about it to my face. After all, everyone knew Mark and I had been friends for years. For me to come down on him that hard, something major must have happened. That afternoon, my department head, Mr. Roberts, asked to speak with me. Ethan, don't you think you were a little hard on Mark? Mr. Roberts was a good-natured manager who had always looked out for both of us. You two are old friends. Whatever the issue, couldn't you have just talked it out? Mr. Roberts, this isn't a personal issue. I had already prepared Mark's recent performance file. This is his work record for the last 3 months. Please take a look. Mr. Roberts took the file and read through it carefully. Mark's performance had indeed been poor, marked by frequent mistakes and low productivity. The last month was particularly bad, with him being late or leaving early almost every day. Furthermore, the project presentation was a critical milestone for the entire department, I explained. He failed to complete it for personal reasons, delaying the whole project. He then caused a scene in the office, disrupting the work environment. According to company policy, suspension is an appropriate response. Mr. Roberts fell silent for a moment after reviewing the file. Ethan, you're right. I was mistaken. Your handling of the situation was justified. Still, if he apologizes, maybe you two can find a way to work together again. I nodded, but my mind was made up. There was no coming back for Mark. After work, I got a call from Chloe. Ethan, Mark told me what happened at the office. Her voice was furious. Why did you fire him? I didn't fire him. He's suspended. Is there a difference? Of course. Suspension is temporary. Firing is permanent, I said coolly. Though if he keeps this up, firing him isn't out of the question. Ethan Miller, you've gone too far. Have I? I let out a cold laugh. Chloe, do you remember that Mark has a girlfriend? The other end of the line went dead silent. What girlfriend? The one in another state. The one he's been with for 3 years. The one he's supposed to marry. My tone was light, as if I were discussing the weather. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, she's coming to town next month to look at apartments. They're planning to settle down here and get married. Do you think I should let her know that for the past year and a half, her fiancé has been keeping a mistress on the side? Ethan, you wouldn't dare. Why wouldn't I? Chloe, you two are soulmates, aren't you? You should be together out in the open. Why sneak around? I'm just helping you publicize your relationship. You should be thanking me. Chloe was silent for a long time. Ethan, what do you want? She finally asked. What I want is simple. An uncontested divorce, and you walk away with nothing. Impossible. Then I guess we wait. I prepare to hang up. Wait, she shouted. Ethan, don't you think you're being too cruel? We were married for 3 years. Even if there was no love, there was some affection, wasn't there? Doesn't your conscience hurt, treating me like this? Her words filled me with a sense of bitter irony. 3 years of marriage. Yes, there had been affection. At least there had been on my part. I had genuinely loved her, given my all for her, changed myself for her. And what about her? She took my love for granted, my sacrifices as her due. She enjoyed the security I provided while seeking excitement from another man. She used me as an ATM, a backup plan, a disposable tool. And now she wanted to talk to me about affection? Chloe, do you know what irony is? My voice was dangerously calm. It's when the cheater lectures the person they cheated on about affection. It's when the betrayer preaches to the betrayed about having a conscience. Where was your conscience when you were with him? I could hear her sobbing on the other end. I know I hurt you, but you can't get revenge on me like this. Revenge? I laughed. Chloe, this isn't revenge. This is damage control. I'm just trying to minimize my losses. You've already wasted 3 years of my life and cheated me out of fortune. You really think you're going to walk away with half of what's left? That's not how the world works. You've changed, Ethan, she cried. You were never like this before. You used to love me. You were so forgiving. The man you are now, you're a stranger. You're terrifying. I have changed, I admitted. The old me was too foolish, too kind, too easy to manipulate. That's why you too could play me for a fool. Now my eyes are open. I won't be anyone's fool ever again, including yours. After hanging up, I felt a wave of relief. The feeling of finally tearing everything down was strangely liberating. No more pretending, no more holding back, no more considering anyone else's feelings. I could say what I wanted, do what I wanted. It turns out being the bad guy felt pretty damn good. That night, I reviewed the divorce papers in my hotel room. My lawyer had everything prepared, just waiting for Chloe's signature. If she refused to sign, we would see her in court. My phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello, is this Ethan Miller? My name is Sarah Jenkins. I'm Mark Peterson's girlfriend. I was taken aback for a second. How did you get my number? Mark gave it to me. He said he wanted me to help him apologize to you. Of course. Mark was calling in reinforcements. Hello, Ms. Jenkins. My tone was polite. I'd like to meet with you, if that's okay. About what happened with Mark. Certainly. When? Tomorrow evening? 7 o'clock at the Starbucks downtown. I'll be there. I hung up and sneered. Did Mark really think sending his girlfriend would make me go soft? How naive. When we met tomorrow, I wasn't just going to refuse to let him off the hook. I was going to burn his entire life to the ground. By the time I was done, Sarah Jenkins would know exactly what kind of man her boyfriend was. The next afternoon, at the law office, Chloe arrived on time. But she wasn't alone. With her was her best friend and lawyer, Helen. Mr. Miller, I'm representing Chloe Sullivan, Helen announced as she walked in. I've reviewed your proposed settlement, and the terms are unconscionable. My client will not accept them. Then we'll see you in court. I didn't even look up from the documents I was reading. Mr. Miller, don't you think you're being a bit vindictive? Helen sat down, trying to reason with me. While Chloe made a mistake, it's not a capital offense. Your demand that she leave with nothing is not legally defensible. Is that so? I looked up at my lawyer. Mr. Cohen, would you please show Ms. Helen our evidence? Mr. Cohen passed a thick file across the table. As Helen flipped through it, her expression grew more and more grim. Photos, text messages, hotel receipts, financial records. Every single item was irrefutable proof, especially the records of Chloe using marital funds for her affair with Mark. Legally, that was a clear case of dissipation of assets. Chloe, how could you be so careless? Helen whispered to her friend. Using joint funds for this. This is going to be very difficult for us in court. Chloe just bowed her head, too ashamed to speak. She never imagined I would have investigated so thoroughly. Ms. Helen, do you still find my terms unconscionable? I asked. Helen was silent for a moment, then looked back at me. Mr. Miller, perhaps we can negotiate the exact percentages of the split. No negotiation. I cut her off. She either signs or we go to court. There is no third option. In the end, faced with a mountain of evidence, Chloe gave in. With tears streaming down her face, she signed the divorce papers. The condo was mine. The car was mine. The savings were mine. All she could take were her personal belongings. Ethan, you're truly heartless, she sobbed after signing. After everything we've been through, couldn't you have at least left me with some dignity? Dignity? I put the signed papers away. Chloe, dignity is something you earn for yourself. It's not something other people give you. When you were cheating on me, did you think about leaving me with any dignity? When you were planning to drain our accounts, did you think about my dignity? It's a little late to bring it up now, don't you think? She cried even harder, but my heart remained unmoved. Tears are the cheapest currency in the world, especially a liar's tears. Chloe, as of today, we have nothing to do with each other, I said, standing up. I hope you two will be very happy. With that, I walked out of the law office without a second glance. The sun was shining outside, and I felt a lightness I hadn't felt in years. 3 years of marriage had finally come to an end. It wasn't the ending I had wanted, but at least I had one. I had protected my assets, and, more importantly, my self-respect. Now, it was time to deal with Mark Peterson. 7 o'clock at the Starbucks. Sarah Jenkins was already there, sitting by the window. She looked to be in her mid-20s, with a sweet, unassuming face and simple clothes. She seemed like a genuinely nice girl. I bought a coffee and sat down across from her. Ms. Jenkins, hello. Mr. Miller, thank you for agreeing to meet with me. Her voice was nervous. I heard from Mark that there's been some misunderstanding between you two. A misunderstanding? I smiled. Ms. Jenkins, what exactly did Mark tell you? He said you had a disagreement over a work project and that you were using your authority to retaliate against him, she explained. He said you used to be good friends and he hopes you can reconcile. I nodded, just as I thought. Mark hadn't told her the truth. Ms. Jenkins, how long have you and Mark been together? A little over 3 years. A sweet smile touched her lips. We met in college and have been together ever since. We're planning to get married this year. Ah, congratulations. My expression was neutral. Do you know what Mark has been doing for the past year and a half? Working, of course. At your company. And besides work? Sarah looked confused. What else would there be? He's always so busy, he barely has time to call me. He says the pressure at work is intense. I slid a stack of photos from my briefcase across the table. Take a look at these. Sarah looked down at the photos, and the color drained from her face. In the pictures, Mark and Chloe were eating intimately at restaurants, kissing in a movie theater, holding hands as they entered a hotel. Each photo was time-stamped, leaving no room for doubt. What? What is this? Her voice began to tremble. When were these taken? The earliest is from 18 months ago. The most recent is from last week, I said, my voice flat, stating facts. The woman in the photos is my ex-wife. Ex-wife? Yes. The divorce was finalized yesterday. The reason was her infidelity. Her affair was with Mark Peterson. Sarah's hands, holding the photos, started to shake violently. No, that's impossible. Mark would never do that. He loves me. Ms. Jenkins, I understand this is difficult to hear. I took out my phone and showed her more evidence. But facts are facts. Here are their text messages. Here are the hotel receipts. Here are the credit card statements for gifts he bought her. For a year and a half, they saw each other more than 3 times a week. And you, I'm afraid, were just his cover story back home. Sarah stared at the evidence, tears streaming down her face. Why? Why are you telling me this? Because Mark sent you here to beg me to spare him. I said, putting my phone away. I felt you had a right to know the truth. He was talking about marrying you while keeping a mistress here. Do you really think a man like that is worth pleading for? Sarah covered her face and began to sob. I watched her silently, feeling no pity. This was reality, brutal but true. Better to know now than to live in a lie. Ms. Jenkins, there's one more thing, I said after her sobs subsided. Mark recently lost a lot of money in the stock market and is deeply in debt. He was getting money from my ex-wife, telling her it was for an investment, but it was all to cover his losses. The money you've been giving him probably went to the same place. Sarah looked up, her eyes red and swollen. What money? You haven't given him money? No, he's never asked me for money. That's odd, I said, feigning confusion. Then how's he paying his debts? Sarah thought for a moment, and then her face went pale. My credit card. What? Last month, he said he wanted to buy me a surprise gift and asked to borrow my credit card. He said I couldn't know what it was, so I gave him the card. And he kept saying the gift was being custom-made and I had to wait. Now that I think about it, he never bought me anything. Sarah shot to her feet, furious. That liar. Not only did he cheat on me, he stole from me. I nodded. Scumbags all run the same playbook, preying on good-hearted women. Ms. Jenkins, what are you going to do? I'm going to find him. I'm going to confront him. I'd suggest you check your credit card statement first. See exactly how much he spent. Then decide what to do. Sarah immediately pulled out her phone and logged into her banking app. As she read the statement, her face turned sheet white. $10,000. He spent $10,000. She whispered in horror, and it was all on a stock trading app. My condolences, I said, standing up. A man like that isn't worth your tears. Cutting your losses is the smart move. By the way, if you need this evidence to press charges, I can provide it. $10,000 in fraud is enough to get him a few years in prison. Sarah sat there, stunned, still reeling from the shock. I didn't disturb her further and quietly left the coffee shop. As I walked out, my phone rang. It was Mark. Ethan, did Sarah contact you? She did. What did she say? Is she going to help me? I paused, looking back through the window at Sarah, who was still crying. Mark, what do you think a woman's reaction is when she finds out her fiancé has been cheating on her? The line went silent. You told her? I just told a girl who was being lied to the truth. Ethan Miller, how could you do this? His voice turned hysterical. You ruined me. You ruined everything. You ruined yourself, I said calmly. I just brought the truth to light. You're a psycho, a monster. Insulting me won't help you, Mark, I said, looking up at the night sky. Right now, you should probably be thinking about how you're going to explain that $10,000 to Sarah. What was it? Oh, credit card fraud. She's pretty upset, talking about calling the police. I heard the sound of something shattering on his end of the line, followed by a desperate, guttural roar. I hung up, feeling a profound sense of closure. This was the price of betrayal. Mark had lost his job, his girlfriend, and was now facing potential jail time. And he had brought all of it on himself. Back at the hotel, I took a long, hot shower and collapsed onto the bed. Starting tomorrow, I was a completely free man. No cheating wife, no treacherous friends. It was a lonely thought, but a clean one. I could finally start my own life for myself. The feeling was incredible. A month later, my life had settled into a new, stable rhythm. The shadow of the divorce had lifted, and I was starting to reevaluate my life. Chloe had moved out of our old condo. I heard she was renting a small apartment with Mark. Mark had been officially fired and was struggling to find a new job. Sarah Jenkins never pressed charges, but she ended their relationship for good. I occasionally thought of them, but without any emotion. It was like thinking about two strangers. One day, I was at my desk when the receptionist called. "Mr. Miller, there's a Ms. Sullivan here to see you." "Ms. Sullivan?" The only one I knew was Chloe. "Send her up." 10 minutes later, Chloe appeared at my office door. She looked worn out, with dark circles under her eyes, and her clothes were no longer the expensive brand she used to wear. "Ethan, can I come in?" I nodded. She came in and sat down. "What is it?" I didn't look up from my computer. "Ethan, I wanted to talk to you. We have nothing to talk about. I know you're still angry with me, but—" "Chloe, I'm not angry." I finally looked up at her. Anger is an emotion I reserve for people I care about. For strangers, I don't waste the energy. Her face went pale. "Ethan, we were married. Do you really have to be so cold?" "Cold?" I laughed. "Chloe, where was this sentiment when you were cheating? Where was it when you were plotting to take my money? You only remember our history when you need something." She bit her lip, her eyes welling up. "I know I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. And does being wrong make it as if it never happened?" I turned back to my computer. "If there's nothing else, please leave. I'm working." "Ethan, Mark and I broke up," she said suddenly. My hands paused over the keyboard, but I didn't look up. "What does that have to do with me? I found out he doesn't love me at all. He was just using me." Her voice started to break. "He even scammed his girlfriend out of her money. He's a total scumbag. I was so blind to ever fall for him." So, I finally looked up. "What's your point? Ethan, can we start over?" She looked me straight in the eye. "I'll change. I'll be a good wife. Can we get married again?" The office was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I stared at the woman I had once loved so deeply, feeling nothing. Did she really think that just because she saw Mark's true colors, she could come running back to me? Did she think a few words of apology could mend what she had broken? How naive. "Chloe, listen to me very carefully." My voice was calm and steady. "It is over between us. Completely and irrevocably over. It doesn't matter what kind of person Mark is. That doesn't change a thing. You chose to betray me, and you have to live with the consequences. And the consequence is that you have lost me forever." Tears started rolling down her cheeks. "Ethan, please just give me one more chance. I know I was wrong. Without you, I'm nothing." "Then you should have thought of that sooner," I scoffed. "When you were cheating, why didn't you think about how you'd be nothing without me? When you were planning to take my assets, why didn't you think about it then? It's too late for regrets now." I stood up and walked to the window. "Chloe, do you know what trust is? It's like a piece of glass. Once it's shattered, it's shattered. Even if you glue it back together, the cracks are always there. I will never trust you again, and I can never love you again. So please give up. And please leave." She was crying hysterically behind me, but I didn't turn around. I could hear her tears, feel her despair, but none of it could move me. Once a heart is dead, it can't be revived. "Ethan, I can wait for you," she said, wiping her tears. "I'll wait until you forgive me, until you take me back. No matter how long it takes. Don't waste your time." I turned back to her. "Chloe, let me tell you a hard truth. I'm doing great now. 1,000 times better than when I was with you. I don't need you, and I don't want you. Your best bet is to start your own life. Find someone who's actually right for you." She stared at me, as if seeing me for the first time. "You've really changed." "Yes, I have," I admitted. "I've become more rational, more clear-headed, and I know how to protect myself now. Thank you for helping me grow." I sat back down at my desk. "Now, please leave." Chloe stood there for a long moment before finally turning and walking away. As I watched her go, I felt no sense of loss. That woman was finally, completely out of my life. That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. "Mr. Ethan Miller? My name is from a headhunting firm. I have a job opportunity I'd like to discuss with you." A headhunter? I was doing well in my current company. Why would a headhunter be calling me? "What's the opportunity?" "It's a director of engineering position at a startup. The salary is triple what you're making now. If you're interested, we can schedule a meeting." Triple my salary? That was tempting. "Okay, let's set up time." 2 days later, I met the CEO of the startup. She was a woman in her late 30s, sharp, intelligent, and radiating charisma. "Mr. Miller, I've seen your resume. It's very impressive," she said, her voice confident. "Our company needs a technical leader like you." "Thank you." We talked for a long time, from technical challenges to the company's vision. I found her to be not only a successful entrepreneur, but also incredibly insightful. Talking with her was a pleasure. "So, Mr. Miller, what do you think?" she asked. "I'll need some time to consider it." "Of course. It's a big decision." She handed me her business card. "My name is Evelyn Reed. I look forward to hearing from you." On the way home, I kept thinking about Evelyn's offer. A new job meant a new start, a new challenge. Maybe it was time to leave the past behind for good. That night, I sent Evelyn a message. I accept the position. She replied almost instantly. Welcome to the team. A month later, I started my new job. A new environment, new colleagues, a new beginning. I felt an excitement and anticipation I hadn't felt in years. At the welcome lunch, Evelyn introduced me to the team. Everyone, this is our new director of engineering, Mr. Ethan Miller. Let's give him a warm welcome. As I looked at the young, bright faces in front of me, I felt a sense of rebirth. My life was just beginning. The new job was even more challenging than I'd imagined. Evelyn's company was focused on artificial intelligence, developing a revolutionary new product. As the head of the technical team, I was working with cutting-edge technology every day. The sense of fulfillment was something I'd never experienced in my old company. Ethan, this algorithm optimization is excellent, Evelyn said, standing behind me, looking at my code. The faint scent of her perfume was pleasant, not too strong, just right. Thanks. I think it could be improved further. You're too modest, she laughed. Are you free tonight? I'd like to take you to dinner to celebrate your 1-month anniversary with the company. I looked up at her. Evelyn was wearing a crisp white blouse and a black pencil skirt, her hair tied in an elegant bun. Professional, intelligent, beautiful. A complete opposite of Chloe. Sure, I nodded. That evening, we went to an upscale French restaurant. Evelyn was clearly a regular. The staff all knew her. Do you like French food, Ethan? It's okay, but I'm more of a steak and potatoes kind of guy. Next time, we'll get steaks then, she said with a warm smile. We talked about everything, from work to life, from our dreams to our futures. I discovered that Evelyn was not only a successful businesswoman, but also had a rich personal life. She could paint, play the piano, and had an impressive knowledge of wine. Ethan, are you married? She asked suddenly. Divorced, I answered honestly. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked. It's fine. It's not a secret, I said, taking a sip of wine. In fact, I like my life better now. Why is that? Because I can focus on what I want to do without having to worry about other factors. Evelyn nodded. I understand. I feel the same way. You're divorced too? Never married, she smiled. I was always focused on my career. I guess I never met the right person. And what kind of person would be the right one? Smart, ambitious, and responsible, she said, her eyes meeting mine. And someone I can have a real conversation with. In that moment, I felt my heart skip a beat. It was a feeling I hadn't had in a very long time. After dinner, Evelyn suggested we go to a nearby bar. I don't go to bars very often. It's good to relax sometimes. The music in the bar was low, the lighting dim and warm. We found a quiet corner. So, Ethan, what do you think of the company? It's great. Full of energy, a bright future. And what do you think of me as a boss? She asked, a playful glint in her eye. Very good. Charming and capable. Just charming. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, whether from the alcohol or something else, I couldn't tell. Very charming, I corrected myself. She laughed, a bright, genuine sound. And in that moment, I realized I was falling for her. This brilliant, beautiful, successful woman was making her way into my heart. Ethan, I have a proposal, she said. What is it? Let's go out. On a date. Her words caught me off guard. Are you sure? I never do anything I'm not sure about. Her gaze was firm. We haven't known each other very long. But I feel like you're the person I've been looking for, she interrupted. Smart, ambitious, responsible, and we can talk for hours. You check all the boxes. I looked at her, my feelings a complicated mix. After Chloe's betrayal, I thought I would never believe in love again. But Evelyn was making me hope. Okay, I nodded. Let's try. From that day on, Evelyn and I began a real relationship. Unlike Chloe, Evelyn was a completely independent woman. She had her own career, her own life, her own ideas. She didn't need me to support her, to coddle her, or to be with her every second. We were more like two whole individuals who had come together out of mutual admiration. This relationship, built on equality, was more comfortable than anything I had ever known. 3 months later, Evelyn's company secured a massive round of funding. Our product officially launched to rave reviews. Ethan, we did it. Evelyn threw her arms around me in celebration. We did it. I corrected her. That night, the company threw a huge party. As director of engineering, I was pushed onto the stage to give a speech. Looking at all the young, talented people in the room, I felt an incredible sense of accomplishment. This was the life I had always wanted. Fulfilling, meaningful, with a real future. After the party, Evelyn took my hand. Ethan, move in with me. I looked at her, a warmth spreading through my chest. Okay. We smiled at each other, both seeing the love reflected in the other's eyes. In that moment, I truly felt like I had been born again. The hurt Chloe had caused was finally healed. Mark's betrayal was a distant, laughable memory. I had a new life, a new love, and a new future. and all of it was better than anything I had ever had before. On moving day, I went back to the condo I had once shared with Chloe for the last time. Looking at the familiar furniture, I felt no attachment. This was just a property, it had never been a home. A real home is wherever the person you love is. While packing, I found a photo of Chloe. It was from our wedding. She was smiling sweetly. I looked at the picture and thought about the past, the good times when we first met, the hopes I had for our life together. But that was all in the past. I took the photo, tore it in half, and dropped it in the trash. I carried the last of my boxes out the door and ran into my old neighbor, Mr. Henderson. Moving out, Ethan? Yes, Mr. Henderson. Moving to a new place. You two kids having trouble? He didn't know we were divorced. We're divorced. Starting over. What? Divorced? He was shocked. You two always seemed so happy. What happened? We just weren't right for each other, I said, not wanting to go into detail. Ah, you young people these days, always rushing into divorce, he said, shaking his head. You take care of yourself now, Ethan. Don't let it get you down. I'm doing great, Mr. Henderson. Better than ever, I said, and I meant it. As I drove away from the complex, I took one last look at the building. 3 years of my life, over. There was no regret, no longing, only liberation. As my car pulled up to Evelyn's beautiful house, my mood lifted. A new life was waiting. Evelyn was already at the door, and she ran over as soon as she saw my car. Ethan, welcome home. Her smile was brighter than the sun. I'm home, I said, pulling her into a hug and taking a deep breath. The air smelled of her, warm and safe. This was what a home felt like. That night, we drank wine on our balcony and looked out at the city lights twinkling below. Ethan, do you have any regrets? Evelyn asked, resting her head on my shoulder. Regrets about what? About divorcing your ex-wife. I shook my head. Never. Not for a second. If I hadn't gone through that, I never would have met you. So in a way, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for everything that led me to the right person. Evelyn lifted her head and looked at me. I'm grateful too, she whispered and kissed my cheek. In that moment, I had truly left the past behind and embraced the future. A year later, Evelyn and I were stronger than ever. The company was thriving, and our product had become the industry standard. I had earned respect not just for my technical skills, but for my leadership. Evelyn often said that finding me was the luckiest thing that had ever happened to her. One weekend, we were out shopping downtown. In a department store, I ran into Chloe. She looked haggard and much older, wearing plain clothes and carrying a plastic grocery bag. She was a ghost of the polished woman she used to be. Ethan, she saw me, and a complex emotion flickered in her eyes. Hello, I nodded, my tone neutral. How are you? Her voice trembled slightly. I'm doing great. And you? I'm okay. She avoided my gaze. Just then, Evelyn came out of the dressing room and linked her arm through mine. Ethan, what do you think of this one? She was wearing a stunning white dress, looking ethereal. Beautiful, I said sincerely. Evelyn noticed Chloe and looked at me questioningly. This is my ex-wife, I said simply. Chloe, this is my girlfriend, Evelyn. Chloe looked at Evelyn, her eyes filled with undisguised envy. Evelyn was younger, more beautiful, more elegant. Most importantly, she radiated the quiet confidence of a successful woman, something Chloe had lost. Hello, Evelyn said politely. Hi, Chloe mumbled in response. Ethan, where are you working now? At a startup. I'm the director of engineering. Oh, that's great. Her voice grew smaller. I knew she wanted to ask more, but she didn't dare, not in front of Evelyn. We have to get going, I said, wanting to end the awkward encounter. Wait, Chloe called out. Ethan, can I talk to you for a minute? Alone. I glanced at Evelyn, who gave an understanding nod. I'll go look at those handbags over there. Take your time. After Evelyn walked away, Chloe hurried over. Ethan, you're doing so well. I am. Your girlfriend is beautiful. Very impressive. Yes. How long? Have you known each other? A little over a year. Chloe bit her lip, her eyes turning red. Ethan, I'm not doing well. I'm sorry to hear that. My voice remained calm. Mark, he just disappeared. Left me with nothing. I'm living in a rundown apartment in the worst part of town, working 2 jobs just to get by. As she spoke, tears began to fall. I regret it so much. I really, really regret it. If I hadn't betrayed you, would my life be different now? I looked at her, feeling no pity. This was the path she had chosen. Chloe, everyone has to take responsibility for their choices. You chose betrayal, and you have to live with the consequences. That's not my problem, and I don't owe you any sympathy. Ethan, I know I have no right to ask you for anything, she pleaded. But could you lend me some money? I'll pay you back. I swear I will. I shook my head. No, why not? After everything we It's precisely because of what we were that I can't. I interrupted. Chloe, we are finished. Completely. I don't want any connection to you, including financial ones. You need to solve your own problems. She looked at me with desperate, pain-filled eyes. Ethan, do you really have no feelings left for what we had? I have feelings for our past, I said coldly, but not for our toxic history. You betrayed our marriage, so don't expect me to be sentimental now. My advice to you is to find a decent job and build a life for yourself. With that, I turned and walked back to Evelyn. All done, she asked gently. Yeah, let's go. We walked out of the store hand in hand, leaving Chloe standing alone. In the reflection from a store window, I saw her watching us go, but I didn't look back. On the way home, Evelyn asked, "Did she ask you for money?" "How did you know?" "A woman's intuition," Evelyn smiled. "And you can tell from how she looked that she's having a hard time." "You refused?" "Of course. If you wanted to help her, I wouldn't have minded," Evelyn said generously. "You were married, after all." I pulled the car over and looked at her seriously. "Evelyn, I need you to remember something. My past is over. My present and my future belong to you. I will never betray you for anyone or anything, including so-called old flames, because I know how much betrayal hurts." Evelyn was moved by my words and leaned over to kiss me. "I love you, Ethan. I love you too." 2 months later, I got a call from Mr. Roberts, my old boss. "Ethan, how have you been?" "Doing well, Mr. Roberts. You can't complain." "Hey, I wanted to tell you something." "What is it?" "It's about Mark Peterson." I frowned. "What about him?" "He's dead." I was stunned. "When?" "Last week. They found him in his apartment. He'd been dead for a few days." "What was the cause?" "Suicide. Drank pesticide. Left a note saying he was tired of living, couldn't go on anymore." I was silent for a long time. As much as I had hated Mark for his betrayal, hearing that he was dead left me with a complicated feeling. What about his family? His parents came to handle things. By the way, he mentioned you in his note. What did he say about me? He said he was sorry, that he never should have betrayed your friendship. He said if there was a next life, he hoped he could be your brother again. I closed my eyes and let out a long sigh. "Ethan, are you going to the funeral?" "No," I shook my head. "He's gone. The living have to move on. I don't want any more ties to that past." I told Evelyn what happened when I got home. "Are you sad?" she asked, concerned. "A little, but mostly I feel a sense of closure. That chapter is well and truly over. From now on, I'm only looking forward." Evelyn held me, her embrace warm and comforting. 6 months later, Evelyn and I held our wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony, surrounded by friends and colleagues. Our love was celebrated by everyone who mattered. During my vows, I said, "I'm grateful for the lowest points in my life because they led me to the highest. I'm grateful to have met Evelyn. Without the pain of the past, I wouldn't know the joy of the present. So I'm thankful for all of it, even for the people who hurt me. They taught me how to grow, and they taught me how to cherish what is real." The room erupted in applause. Evelyn looked at me, her eyes shining with love. In that moment, I felt a sense of complete wholeness. It took me 2 years to go from the agony of betrayal to finding true happiness. In those 2 years, I learned to let go, to grow, to protect myself. Most importantly, I learned what real love is. It isn't possession or dependency or deception. It's understanding, support, and growing together. Now, I have my career, I have my love, I have my future, and the people who once hurt me are either living with regret or are gone from this world. That was the price of their betrayal. And this is my rebirth. I stood on the balcony, watching the sun set, its golden light washing over me. Evelyn came up from behind and wrapped her arms around my waist. "What are you thinking about?" "About our future. It's going to be amazing." "I know," I said, turning to hold her, "because we're going to build it together." As the sun dipped below the horizon, we stood there, holding each other. My old story was over. My real life had just begun.